O'clock, we'll call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our clerk is expected, but is currently running a little late. So if someone is willing to serve as a temporary clerk until she arrives.
Volunteer as tribute.
Is that a motion?
I make a motion for myself, yes.
Support.
Okay.
Motion by Lay, support by Lannon. Any discussion? All in favor of Trustee Lay playing acting clerk until our clerk arrives, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for serving. And with that, would you do a roll call of the board, please?
Sure, Supervisor Milky.
Here?
Treasurer Rogers.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
Trustee Lannon.
Here.
Trustee Lay is here. Trustee Thering is excused. And Trustee Cody will be, or not Trustee, Clerk Cody will be here in short order.
Thank you. Depending on how you look at it, I think it's a relatively light agenda, but I'm happy to entertain any motions.
Move to approve the agenda.
Support. Motion by Rogers, support by Brown to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda passes unanimously. As always, welcome Chairman Engler here. The floor is yours if you'd like it.
Pretty much as usual, I'll take questions. Just a real quick update. We've had 5 Tuesdays this week, so we've had a week off, which is kind of nice a little bit, not to have a meeting every week, or some days you have 2 or 3. But pretty much we got the budget done, so looking forward. We'll be making an announcement on the building pretty soon. That'll be coming up next time. I thought would happen, but like I said, we had a week off. Basically, just moving forward, trying to get a few things done. If you watched our last meeting, I said it's a good show in democracy, because some people watch our regular meetings. A lot of our discussions happen at the finance committee, and at the board meeting we got a little bit testy with each other, but that happens. And so it's a good show of democracy where we don't always agree, but we will get it settled off. And it had to do with some accounting, coding, and how we report stuff. And so we'll get that straightened up. But it was kind of interesting that shows people that we don't always agree, and the board doesn't always agree 100%. But especially when you watch our regular meeting, like I said, most of the discussion happens in the finance committee of the whole. So anyways, we'll get that situation solved. We have to get legal involved and accountants and determine what is the proper procedures, because right now we're getting 2 different voices. So moving forward, I'm just looking forward to fall, and we'll see what's going on. But I'll take any questions. I said Trustee Landon covers our meeting real probably better than I do, but anyway, he does a good job, keeps you updated pretty well. So I'm mostly here to listen and to take questions if you need them. With that, I will sit down. Thanks.
Thank you.
Gracious for you showing up.
Yes.
Moving on, item 7 on the agenda, public comment. It's restricted to 3 minutes regarding items on this agenda. If you choose to address the public, please state your name and address for the record. And with that, we will open public comment at 7:04 p.m.
There's nobody online.
Let the record show we have no one connected remotely. Presentation we just had from Chairman Engler doesn't appear to be getting up, and I'll let the record show nobody else was in attendance, and that our clerk just arrived. So we will close public comment at 7:04 p.m. That takes us to item 9 on our agenda, reports, boards, and comments, board comments. Current list of boards and commissions, appointment as needed. Just we appointed someone to the second alternate slot on the ZBA last month. So as far as I am aware, I mean, we will have some coming up towards the end of the year, beginning of next year. I believe we only have one spot open, and that's on the EDA board. And that one actually is, I'd really like to get that filled. So if you got somebody in mind, I'd be happy to talk to him. I'm sure Director Nanny would be happy to talk to him. We need that ninth member. Anything else on that? Moving on, September monthly report in our packet. I'll just ask if there's any questions on that. Seeing none, that brings us to item 9C on our agenda, Planning Commission, EDA, and ZBA updates by our Community and Economic Development Director, Mr. Nanny. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. We did have EDA board meeting last week on the 16th. We had a very full agenda. They took care of several items of business. One was they did take action to approve the budget amendment number 1. You recall this came before this board, and they did not have a meeting in August, so this was our first chance to take care of that. They did approve it as presented. They also had we had a discussion about some budget priorities for 2026, which that's been the highlights of the proposed recommended 2026 budget for the 2 DDA districts were received and favorably, and so we'll be seeing those as part of the budget recommendation coming up, and also discuss some future projects way beyond that, looking at future capital improvements and some timing of some of the other sidewalk projects and other projects within the DDA districts. They took action on to renew our relationship with Gunner Lawn Care. This is the firm that takes care of mowing the street margin along Pickard Road, and they also mow some other lots in the DDA district, East DDA district. They did approve a new 3-year agreement with Gunner Lawn Care. This is a company that has proven to be an excellent partner, and it was a modest increase in the cost for the next 3-year period, but it was well within expectations, and as I said, we're very happy to renew that relationship. The other item on their list was related to road improvements in the East DDA district in the industrial area. This is Packard Street, East Airport Road, Corporate Way, Corporate Drive, Park Place. There's some industrial streets over in that area that are older streets. They are of various vintages. We have some dirt roads. We have some older paved roads. This is an area that's all zoned industrial, planned for industrial. Could be developed, but the roads are a serious impediment to that. We have been working for some time to get some clear direction from the Road Commission as to how to proceed working with them. We did get that earlier this year. So we have, what we brought to the EDA board was a proposal to have our Township engineers, Gordy Frazier, do the preliminary work, the title work, but also surveying work, and ultimately prepare, essentially would be a concept plan for the road improvements. This is what would then would be set up to go to the Road Commission for their, what's called preliminary blessing or preliminary approval. And then from there, assuming that goes well, we move forward with the detailed engineering. But also as part of this part of the project, we'll be identifying any challenges we have related to right-of-way or anything that we need to work with property owners on specifically to get the work done. So all that was part of that proposal from Gordy Frazier, and it was approved. So Gordy Frazier has started that work. The Planning Commission also met on the 16th. They had one business item, and that was for a new building down at Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart has their athletic fields down Lincoln Road, south of Broomfield. And they are proposing to put a new building there, a little under 6,000 square feet. It's mostly for indoor batting cages. But basically it's a facility for their teams to use. And this is a property that be a little creative over there. All their access is from the neighboring property to the north. They actually have an easement that allows them not only to access it, not only to use the neighbor's parking lot, but actually to build new parking on the neighbor's property. And so this plan actually includes a parking lot that would extend across both parcels, and some other improvements beyond the building. It generated a lot of discussion because in order to build the parking lot in a manner that would meet our ordinance requirements and essentially create a safe vehicle maneuvering through there, it would require a variance related to the building location. The building would have to get a little closer to the east property line than the ordinance would require. This is zoned industrial. It has a 50-foot rear yard setback. They were proposing 25 feet in order to. They had two options, and the 25-foot option had the parking lot that would meet our requirements. So the Plan Commission did an extensive discussion. They ultimately did approve the preliminary site plan and approved it with actually a recommendation to the Board of Appeals that a variance be considered to be granted. They were in favor of that design and felt it would be a better option for the overall development. So we are expecting to have a zoning board of appeals meeting in the relatively near future. We haven't seen an application from them yet, but we are expecting to see one for that. The other item I have for you is related to our sidewalks, as you probably saw, but I just get to announce it. Again, is the sidewalk down on Bluegrass Road on the south side, the connection going from Mission Road across the Red Lobster property, across the remainder of the Indian Pine Shopping Center property, was completed earlier this month. You see that actually the final final payment is part of your check authorization tonight. This was a new contractor, Wilcox Contracting, and they did great work. It was really fantastic work from beginning to end. So we're pleased to have that part of that project done. We have one last section along the south side of the road there, and I'm expecting to see hopefully a final site plan for that remaining development, to fill in that remaining gap in the very near future. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
So on the variance recommendation from the Planning Commission, because the Planning Commission recommends that, is that something that the township waives fees on the application, or the Planning Commission partners in the cost, or is that still bared by the applicant?
It is still the applicant. The applicant has to apply. We can't apply for a variance for anybody.
Okay.
We can't waive the fee on it. The Plan Commission simply, essentially said we are favorable to this. That's the
If you
language.
apply, you have our blessing.
Right. And we'll share the minutes of the Plan Commission with the Board of Appeals. So it is still up to the applicant to make the case. This was simply a Plan Commission recognizing that the best option would require the variance, and it was warranted in that case.
I'll just express how excited I am with the EDA and all of Rodney's work and the staff's work of trying to get improvements done in that north industrial area. With some great difficulties, you've managed to move the ball forward, and I commend you and grateful to see it, because I'm excited about the opportunities that are there. So. Anything by anybody else?
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
thanks,
Thank you.
as always. Board member reports. Trustee Brown?
No report.
Trustee Lannon?
No reports.
You're not going to correct our chairman?
He did a truly fantastic presentation. Plus, as he said, there was a bye week,
Right?
so there was no meeting.
So you got a little vacation too then out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice, wasn't it?
Trustee Lay, I know you have stuff.
Yeah, oh gosh, so I did multiple things this week. Manager Stoldryer, Supervisor Milky, and I attended the 2% roundtable on Tuesday. It's all blurring together at this
Yesterday
point.
morning, yep.
Yesterday,
Yep.
so, and it was very, it's my first time attending. It was very valuable to get to work collaboratively and talk to other townships and other different governmental entities and discuss, all of our challenges that we face. And there was a lot of collaboration, even though that wasn't really the intended purpose. But I got to learn more about pickleball courts than I ever wanted to know. we were able to present our proposals to the different tribal representatives, and we're going to be submitting those by the deadline, I assume. Yeah.
I'm sure our manager will address that later.
The big meeting we had today was the intergovernmental liaison meeting, which was attended by representatives from Isabella County, the city of Mount Pleasant, and Union Township. We got to hear about some of the projects that are upcoming from the city, particularly some of the downtown development projects that they're working on, as far as like renewing their was it the TAP grant? So I wrote a bunch of stuff down, and I'm like trying to make. They renewed the DDA grants, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
And for
They
another
had
10 years.
They had 3, and they renewed 2 of those.
Yes. Then we spoke about the continuing for the shared use path for the west side of Mission from Bluegrass to Preston and through East Campus Drive to Bellows. The City Commission is giving them an additional match, 10% match, so that they can get the grant money they need to complete this project. They also talked about a project that they're trying to get to create some mixed use, to convert the 200 Broadway into they're doing a project with that, mixed housing and mixed use. And I always get really nervous when I have to talk about this type of stuff, because I'm like, am I getting it right? And then they talked about the renewal rate for TIFA, for their incentives for facade renewal and fire suppression, to some of the local businesses, and other infrastructure improvements to curbs and drains and downtown irrigation. The county brought up the eternal question of, do we redo the building or do we rebuild a new building? And we're waiting to hear what the decision is going to be. And we're still waiting to find out what's going to happen to the old jail. The opioid advisory committee was created, and appointments will be made at the next meeting. And the county budget was approved.
Can I just piggyback on a
You
couple
can
things
piggyback
just
off
from
of
my
some
notes?
things, yes.
The only a few things I would note, there was some miscommunication that happened. I'll call it an accident by the city in publishing some of their DDA renewal information.
Yes.
They published. I didn't see it myself, so this is alleged to me, but I've heard about it, that it was published, and I believe it was was it at 100%? 88% capture?
28%.
When the reality was 28, so I think it was a typo. But they're not increasing that capture rate in the 2 DDAs. Their TIFA district, the CBD TIFA, was a 75% capture. And then one other thing I'll add, you talked about the pathway on the west side of
Yes.
Mission. That was from Broomfield to Preston, Bellows.
It was the one it said Mission from Bluegrass to Preston, from
And then-
East Campus Drive to Bellows.
That's actually a 10-foot wide pathway,
Yes.
2-way pathway. So I was kind of excited about that.
Yeah, that was, and then we talked about our joint project about the Crawford pathway briefly, and how we need to get that done.
Okay.
Treasurer Rogers?
I attended the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association Conference Monday, Tuesday, and half of today. I learned a lot of information, some things that might work to implement to make things a little more efficient. I know a lot of these things are already in place, but we're going to go over, I'll bring this to the manager, Stuart Ryer, see what might possibly work for us. It was a lot of information, very interesting, and I was glad to be there. The road commission meeting is tomorrow morning, so I'll have a report after that next time.
Very good. As Trustee Lay mentioned, we both attended the 2% roundtable discussions yesterday, and then today the intergovernmental. I'll just piggyback again on what you said about the 2% roundtable. It is a great opportunity to network. You learn a lot about your community that from other trustees or village managers or whatever their titles may be, on what's going on. And I find it extremely valuable too. It's not just the opportunity to talk with the tribe, it's a community discussion that happens at those. And it's pretty amazing. So with that, oh yeah. You don't have anything? Well, that's why I wasn't gonna call on you. Okay. That finishes that agenda item, and that'll take us to consent agenda. Happy to entertain any motions.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Cody, support by Rogers, and I believe Trustee Lay, you had warrants?
And I did them this time on time, and they were beautiful, as always.
So no issues.
No issues.
And as Trustee Landon pointed out last time, we see all this stuff in our packet. We don't see the actual checks, but we see each of those transactions, and we'd all raise the alarm if something seems out of kilter. But any discussion on this? All in favor of the motion to approve consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda passes unanimously. That brings us to new business, item A, second reading and adoption of proposed park ordinance update. As always, just for the public, when we do ordinance updates, we go through a process dictated by state law, requiring 2 readings, public hearings. And this board conducted at a previous meeting, I think it was a month ago now, or was it the last meeting? On the proposed adoption of this updated park ordinance update. So if there's not a lot of discussion on this, it's because this board has already had the opportunity to vet this, ask their questions. Doesn't mean there won't be discussion, but if I don't want you to feel this board's not doing their due diligence. Mr. Stuhldreher, would you like to introduce this?
Yes, thank you, and good evening, everyone. There's a report on this item that begins on page 27 of your agenda packet. This would be the administration's requesting that the board conduct a second reading on this new parks ordinance and the associated amendments to the Indian Pines Park Ordinance. So there are 2 ordinances that are being addressed in this action. Both ordinances are quite old. Most of the updates are bringing them up into current standards, how we operate the parks now. We're publishing some hours, opening and closing hours, to align with things like no camping in the park. So it makes it easier enforcement. There is an enforcement piece in this that has been a little better defined than the prior ordinances that will help our law enforcement partners if they are ever have to be called out to one of the parks to enforce this ordinance. Also expands in the ordinance technically the law enforcement agencies that are allowed to that we're stating in the ordinance explicitly that can enforce this ordinance. City police, state police, tribal, and maybe central is in there as well. No, not central.
Right.
So you did review it at your last meeting, which I think was September 10th. All the publications have been made that are required by law, and so be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I'll make a motion to conduct the second reading for the proposed new park ordinance and for the associated amendments to the Indian Pines Park Ordinance number 2016-02 to adopt the new Parks Ordinance number 25-04 and to adopt ordinance number 25-05, amending the Charter Township of Union Indian Pines Park Ordinance number 2016-02.
Support.
Motion by Cody, support by Rogers. Additional questions, comments? Not seeing anybody wanting attention right now. Last call on any debate. All familiar with it. Would you do a roll call of the board on this, please?
Supervisor Melke,
Yes.
Treasurer Rogers,
Yes.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Lannan,
Yes.
Trustee Lay,
Yes.
and Clerk Cody, yes. All yes.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to our next business item, item B, under new business, 2025 tax rate request form L4029 resolution. We do this annually, required by the state. Typically, it's a formality so that we are notifying the county of our intentions of tax enforcement from our perspective. Mr. Stuhldreher, would you like to introduce this?
Thank you, and there's a report from our assessor that begins on page 42 of the agenda packet. This is commonly referred to as the L4029. Every local unit of government that is going to be levying taxes is required to complete one of these. The board, the respective boards approve them, and the primary end result of the document is to communicate to the local treasurer what they are to collect on behalf of the various taxing units. So even though Union Township, we have a treasurer, we have millage, we collect our own taxes, but this is the formal notification to the treasurer of the millages to be collected. And the treasurer will receive something, well, the same document from the county and all the other taxing units that are on the winter bill, and we've begun to receive those already. On page 44 is the form. As in prior years, we'll be levying 1 mil for general operating purposes to operate the township, and levying 2.25 mills to support the fire operation. And we ask the board to consider and approve this document that will then generate signatures from a couple of the board members, and then delivery to county equalization, our local treasurer, our local clerk, and I think it needs to be submitted to the state as well, so we'll get all those formalities out of the way. This is an annual exercise, and it's the first step in addition to the public hearing on the budget, which also includes some truth and taxation language to generate revenue to operate next fiscal year. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
As treasurer, am I allowed to make a motion or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that mean you're making a motion?
Well, I was waiting to see if there's questions.
I don't have questions for the manager, I don't believe.
I move to approve the Charter Township of Union 2025 tax rate request form 614 L4029 for the 2025 tax year, and to authorize the township clerk and supervisor to sign the form.
Support.
Motion by Rogers, support by Clerk Cody. I'll just comment that since I've been in the township, I think I moved in the township in 1999, these rates haven't changed as far as our general fund millage. And if people are aware of the finances in this township, it's well managed. We have a bright future. I'm proud that we do that under the 1 mil that we do levy. I believe, I'm not sure the fire millage, when that may have changed or if it's changed. I know we've been contracting that out for many years based on the history that we've learned. But I would like to lift up the fact that we do a lot with 1 mil. Other comments? Nobody likes the tax part, huh? Do we need a roll call on this, Clerk Cody? Do you know?
I don't think so. We can, don't matter.
Okay, let's do the roll call. Anybody not clear on the motion? Okay.
Supervisor Milky,
Yes.
Clerk Cody, yes. Treasurer Rogers,
Yes.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Lannan,
Yes.
Trustee Lay.
Yes.
All yes.
Motion passes unanimously. That brings us to item C on our agenda. Board level township manager performance review of the township manager for the public. 2 meetings ago, we went through a formal exercise as a board, as a whole, having discussions about our manager's performance. That's graded on a scale of 0 to 5. Is it 1 to 5 maybe? For each item that really pertains to our policy governance. So our expectation is that our manager is executing the policies that this board lays out, and that's how we measure that, the manager's performance. And so with that, I want to ask the board and our manager, separately though, we were very transparent in the process of going through this in public, how we came to the document that's in the packet now, which is the finalized performance review. I'm happy to go through it and read top-level items and provide the scores again. That was all publicly given at our last meeting. Is it worth going through those individually
I don't think so.
from the board's perspective? Manager Stuhldreher, do you feel a need, having been through this?
I do not, thank you.
So unless there's objection, I won't go through the entire process again. We'll just highlight some of it. Is that reasonable?
Yes.
I'll note that, from my opinion, our manager scored very well. So in the packet, there's individual grading for each of these. If the public's looking at this, you'll notice that I also put in the review process a standard deviation. So for each item that was graded, it is a mean or average score of the 7 trustees that were in discussion on the performance review. So if we had all 4s or all 3s, then the average would be a 3. I also included the standard deviation, which indicates how close the 7 members were to each other. So I think the lowest one we have in here is a 0.1, which meant probably only one trustee was a little bit different score than the other 6. And where there are scores that the deviation's higher, you might have someone that scored a 5 and someone that scored a 3 and someone a 4. But that's how to interpret that if you happen to be looking at it. And I did happen to go over this with the manager on Tuesday in our meeting, just so he was clear what he was looking at. Do you have questions on that? So overall, I'll just hit the highlight here at the end. We have 2 primary sections on the performance review. Our manager for global ends you can think of as the vision for the township, as far as what we see the vision, or what we see the residents and businesses wanting this township to be. Our manager scored 20.8 out of 25 possible points. We have a section called executive constraints, which lays out the parameters in which our manager must work within. It's essentially guardrails to make sure that our manager doesn't step out of line from what the board's wishes. I think the manager scored very high on that as well, got a 50.9 out of 55. So the total on that was 71.7 out of 80 possible points. The average score, again, this is a 1 to 5 scale, was a 4.5. Included in the review is 2 pages of comments that were provided, a little more free-form text by the board members. If anybody wants to lift any of those up, I'm happy to encourage that. I know our manager in the last meeting heard each of these. He's had an opportunity to read them. But if you'd like to lift up any, I suggest now would be a great time to do that. Not seeing any. The other thing I'll point out, I included in the packet, is a history of our scoring of our manager over the last 5 years, starting in 2021. And this is, I think by far the best score our manager's gotten. Not that our manager's ever gotten a bad score, I don't think. Not from my perspective, at least. But it certainly was a jump. The average score prior to that, and I'm just ballparking here, was probably about a 63. In 2025, we scored the manager 71.71. But it's nice to kind of see that history. Are there items that are trending up or down? I will note asterisk in the 1.3, 1.5 of our global ends. Those asterisks are there to indicate that some structural changes in the global ends occurred during this 5 years in the calendar. So it may not be best to compare those line items as a trend because the parameters changed. If I not described anything well from the board's perspective?
No.
You have any general comments you'd like to share with our manager? I'm going to ask the manager his comments as well.
I think it was pretty
Trustee
thorough.
Lannon?
I found reviewing the evaluation history over the past 5 years to be of interest to me. Of course, there have been a different makeup of boards doing the evaluation, but all on the same manager over the course of 5 years. And I look at it in a very positive way that the trend on most every line item identified has been a gradual upward trend. So to me, I view that as someone who, and they've been good scores all through, but continuing to go up. So somebody who continues to learn through the experience of the job and takes heart maybe to suggestions from the board and puts those sort of suggestions and just the continued experiences and learning from doing the job day to day, it continues to grow and improve. It's not like the trend would certainly say, I'm not tired in my job and not continuing to grow. The effort and energy continues to be there. And so I look at it as, kind of a fine wine. It just continues to improve a bit. So I see our manager, Mr. Stuhldreher, continuing to function at a high level, but even pushing harder to meet the expectations of the board.
Great comments. I would agree and second your comments. And I'm going to steal one of the comments that I think our clerk put in the review process, which was, I think, over years of service that you've had, you've seen a lot of goals accomplished at this township. And I think that's another way of also supporting what Trustee Lannon just said, too. But I like your point in that I think the manager does take our input to improve. And very often those processes aren't necessarily flawed, but there's always room for improvement, right? And I think he hears us, and I think he's got rewarded in the review he got from us. Anything else? Mr. Stuhldreher, you've heard us quite a bit. Would you like to comment? You don't have to, but.
Well, I will. Thank you for just a moment. Very pleased, humbled for the time and effort that you all put into this exercise. I think it is an important exercise, and I can tell that you put a lot of time and effort and thought into it across the board. That I meet, exceed your expectations is very appreciative of that. I do. I'm not bored. To Ms. Trustee Lannon's comments, I've been with Union Township 9 years now. It's the second longest tenure I've been at any one employer, and I am not bored. I continue to learn. I had not worked in a township before coming here in 2015. I really enjoy working with the board. This is the third board that I've worked for since I've come here, and each board has its own personality, and it's my job to figure out what the personality of each of the boards is. I really enjoy working with this particular board, and I will continue to serve. As I said, I love working for Union Township. I love working in this area of the state, and I am not going anywhere. And I'm not ready to retire. So thank you again for your comments and efforts. And from where I sit, we make a very good team. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. Think a good team. Anything else on this? So just a note, in particular, probably more for our newer board members too, that came on last November. We have an annual contract with our manager. And so part of the timing of this exercise is to set us up for negotiations with manager for another year. I will hold you to your comments about not going anywhere, and so that means we, in good faith, should also negotiate with our manager then on that contract, and so that's what we'll be heading towards as we get in deeper into budget season, et cetera. So just preparing us for it. So I want you to keep all this in mind as we go through that process, though. Very good. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, policy governance 2.1, communication and support to the board. This is the 2 section. Do you mind introducing this, Mr. Stuhldreher?
Thank you. In page 71, there's a report to the board. This is the annual review of governance policy 2.10, communications and support to the board. This is an opportunity for the Board of Trustees to review my compliance, the administration's compliance with this particular policy. It is rather long. I'm not going to read all of the subsections, but at the top line, the township manager shall not permit the board to be uninformed or unsupported in its work. And this is one of the executive limitations policies, so as referenced earlier by Supervisor Melke. All of section 2 creates the box within which we are to work. And section 2.10 specifically talks about the obligation of keeping the board informed, educated, so that you can do your jobs, to help you do your jobs to the best of your ability. I interpret this policy to mean that the board as a body shall be made aware of any material information that would impact the board in your role as a policy-making body, and that I am to gather relevant information, a range of information, so that you can make your decisions informed, that I should be concise in how I present that information, that I am to be submitting monitoring reports per the monitoring schedule that's made part of the policy. And there's also obligation within this policy for the manager to, if in my opinion the board is not in compliance with its own governance areas of the policy, that I should point that out. And I justify that interpretation is from a perspective of, if you read the policy, it's pretty, I think, straightforward. It's well written, and so I think I can take the policy wording and interpret that quite easily because of how well the policy is written. The data, there's some data in this report. I won't go through all of it, but I believe that the monitoring reports have been submitted timely throughout the year. I provide monthly activity reports to the board. I will note and acknowledge that sometimes those are not presented timely, and that's been mentioned during the review, and I will improve in that area. We do on occasion, I think when appropriate, take advantage of the consent agenda portion, the consent portion of the agenda, and we use those for things that are more repetitive and routine in nature. When we have an item for the board to consider, we use what we call here request for board action memo. There's a background section, justification section, how it comports with the board policy ends section. There's a cost section. So I think through that mechanism, we're providing clear and concise information for the board when they, for them then to use when they're debating or deciding on a particular issue. I believe that there's a combination of communication to the board. Some is emails that go out to all the board members. Sometimes I'll have to use text, although I don't like to. But if there's an emergency in the middle of the night, you'll get a text from me about the fire or the boil water advisory. I think by my count, I had 74 of those types of communications that went out throughout the year. Depending on the issue and its judgment, certain personnel matters are brought to the board sooner rather than later. And sometimes I'll use the management team meetings to do that, recognizing that at the end of the day, the hiring of staff and the management of staff from A to Z is the responsibility of the manager, but there are certain key positions within the organization that you would have a right to know about before reading about them somewhere else possibly. I try to provide the board with all the training opportunities that are available, and this board has been very good at taking advantage of those, which is also part of our governance policy. We want a well-informed board. So from my perspective, I believe that the manager and by extension the administration is in compliance with this policy. I will point out that one of the sub-policies, 2.10.10, I'll read it. Managers shall not fail to provide monthly financial statements to keep the board informed, as well as a quarterly ROI, return on investment, on water and sewer usage. If you read that closely, one, it talks about monthly financial statements. We had updated policy 2.5 a while ago, which covers financial reporting. That requires quarterly reporting. So this particular 2.10.10 does not comport with the main policy 2.5 that deals with financial reporting. And then it also talks about a quarterly return on investment report on water and sewer usage. I don't know what that means. I'm recommending that sub-policy 2.10.10 just simply be removed from the policy to eliminate confusion. All the financial reporting requirements are in 2.5, and I'm not sure there's a return on investment. The ROI, that's a term you'll usually hear in the private sector. It's not as applicable in the public sector. And And where it is applicable, it's only applicable to the utility or the enterprise funds, of which we have 2, water and sewer. But the return on investment to the ratepayers is not an appropriate measurement, I don't think. So with that recommendation and then my other earlier comments, be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
We do that with a motion, right? To remove it?
Yeah.
If the board's so inclined, it should be done by a motion.
I'll motion to remove 2.10.10. I don't know. Is that okay?
Support.
Should I say out of this section or something?
Just policy governance 2.10.10 is probably good enough. I think that's
Yeah.
clear.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
still
support.
good? So a motion by Cody, support by Rogers. Thoughts?
Just the question is, why it would have been in there to begin with. What would have been the pros to identify that specific report being offered in those specific incremental times?
You referring to the ROI one or both?
2.10.10. The statement being provided,
Huh?
the financial statement, as well as the quarterly ROI.
What I heard, the manager can correct me if I heard incorrectly. We had modified or added 2.5 in the policy governance, which maybe from what I understand is probably a better location because it's having more to do with the finances. And it has the requirement with the exception that it actually conflicts a little bit in that it states quarterly for financial statements.
Okay. Thanks. I might have
Did I
been mic'd
mistake
in there
that?
first.
The only thing I would add to that is the policy, the policy title is communication and support to the board. I could see where communication of financial activity might be referenced in this policy because it's communication and support to the board. 2.5 used to be a monthly financial reporting to the board, and I'm not sure when, I could look, but several years ago, a number of years ago, the board decided that I think they were well enough informed that they didn't need to see this monthly. And so we moved it to quarterly. When we moved it to quarterly, we probably failed to update 2.10.10 to quarterly. And at least that part would have been in alignment. But then I just feel there's some redundancy, and I do not know what the water and sewer return on investment, what the objective of that would have been.
Appreciate it.
Anything else on that? We have a motion on the floor. Anybody not clear on the motion? To
Was
remove
there support?
Yeah.
Yeah, support by Rogers. All in favor of removing 2.10.10 from our policy governance, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. If I may, I just want to take a moment on 2.10. We don't have a formal form here. Any issues or anything missing that, we took something out, but as you looked through this, did you feel there was anything else that should be included that's not here? Any reason, anybody feel that
No.
the organization's not in compliance? Okay, so we're all good.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Item E of new business, policy governance 4.0, global board township management linkage. Let me get to that myself. I will briefly read the policy as it's not that long. The board's primary connection to the operational organization, its achievements and conduct will be through a chief executive officer titled township manager. However, because of the nature of township government and its election of department heads in the titles of township supervisor, township clerk, and township treasurer, policies of the board shall reflect the term the township management team, including the inclusion of township manager, supervisor, clerk, and treasurer within the scope of their duties as defined by law. In the event no person is designated township manager, the township supervisor is considered the chief executive officer for the development of the township budget. So I guess I want to ask this board if you feel there's any non-compliance here, or are we in compliance?
You're compliant.
Fairly simple portion of the policy. Anything you feel that we need to improve upon there? Anything to change, modify? I don't know why I feel weird about the last statement. It says, in the event no person is designated township manager, the township supervisor is considered the chief executive officer for the development of the township budget. I don't think that would happen. I mean, we do have succession plan per our policy, that if something were to happen to Mr. Stuhldreher in his current position, I think we would quickly be able to cover that role with another body that's educated in municipal government versus myself. As a smaller township, we might have a township supervisor being more the CEO role. I don't consider myself that. I consider myself a board member like all of you who happens to have certain statutory duties in addition to trustees. But so it's always weird to me that it says this, in that I don't expect that to happen in this township because of where we are. But I always wondered why it was limited to just township budget, because
Because that's specifically for, or that's what your statutes, you know what I mean?
I guess
That's what it
that's true.
says, so if we don't have a plan,
But
it
it's-
falls to you.
assessing is also part of my statutory.
So if we don't have all that, it goes to you.
Okay, it catches me every time I read this part of the policy. Anyways,
It's there for you, it's there to encourage you to keep the status quo status quo.
Yes,
fair enough.
it's encouragement.
So no issues with this anyway, so
Nope.
thank you for your thoughts on that. That takes us to item 11F on our agenda, Policy Governance 4.1, Unity of Control. I'm not gonna read all this, but maybe I'll highlight, it's not super long, but basically what it says, correct me if you feel I'm misinterpreting this, none of the board members here has power over the township. Only the body of the board has power over the township. Meaning, if I wanted something done, I can't just go to the manager or staff and say, I want this, and expect that that gets done. But if the board sets the policy, then we have all the power to do that. And that helps protect the township from rogue trustees or supervisors or clerks or treasurers, and helps it make it much more democratic, actually, I believe. And the other thing it kind of states is it's up to the manager to determine if a request from one of us is reasonable, if it's a single individual, and he certainly has the right to refuse that or honor it, depending on, I guess, on how he's feeling today and what the workload is. But it is to protect the manager and the staff. The intent of this is to protect the manager and the staff from us getting into the weeds, which is not our purview. Our purview is the policy, right?
Yep.
So with that, anybody else want to correct my statements at all
No.
on how they interpret it? Do you feel we are in compliance? Let me ask that again. Does anybody feel we're not in compliance? Anything else? Maybe we're not out of compliance, but you think we can do better?
No, I think this one's good.
Yeah.
All through. I will comment, it is not uncommon for one of the trustees, and when I say trustees, the 7 of us, it is not uncommon for a trustee to approach the manager and request a meeting, or can you find out this for me? I think it's very rare that our manager has not responded in some way, either through directly himself or asking the organization to get answers. And I appreciate when those kinds of things come up, that usually the rest of us are all informed of the outcome of that or the answer to that, because I think we all learn from that. So I appreciate the manager working with us on this. You don't feel like we're, as a board or individuals, violating this portion of the policy from your perspective, do you?
I do not.
We're all good then, right? All right.
No one's going rogue.
I'm sorry?
No one's going rogue.
To be honest, I think it was 2010, this board adopted policy governance. This was one of my favorite parts, because we had some, I won't name names, there were some people on the board that tried to act independently, and it wasn't in the spirit of the Democratic board as a body of a whole. And I really appreciate this portion of the policy. So moving on, that brings us to item 12 on our agenda, extended public comment, restricted to 5 minutes regarding any issue. If you choose to address the public, please state your name and address for the record. And with that, we will open up extended public comment at 8:01 p.m.
There's nobody online.
Still nobody online, let the record show. We have someone in the audience, but they're indicating they would not like to come forward. Waiting for the door, just in case someone comes in the door. But hearing no one, we'll close extended public comment at 8:01 p.m. That brings us to item 13 on the agenda, manager's comments. Mr. Stuhldreher.
Thank you, and I have just a couple. A reminder to everybody in the public that we have our cleanup day this Saturday, 8 to 11, at the Commission on Aging. Any of you folks that want to come out, it is a fun day. I know you're all busy, but we do have adequate personnel to staff the event, so don't feel any obligation to do that. A meeting or two ago, the board brought up the issue of how the board might be able to acknowledge, thank the staff as a whole, bounce that around a little bit internally, and about the only thing that we could think of that we thought might make some sense and not be too onerous. And we also have to remember that we can't spend township taxpayer dollars on these sort of things. That if the Board of Trustees wanted to host late afternoon cookout, barbecue of some sort, play a little cornhole or that kind of thing, we'd certainly appreciate that. We'd have to close Township Hall for a couple hours to do that probably, but if the board thought it was worth it, and you have allowed us to close Township Hall for a couple hours for other reasons, but Thursday afternoon or something from 2 to 4 or something like that might be something you want to consider. So I'm just kind of circling back to you on that item. The 2% applications, we're going to be applying for this will be the second application. We were not awarded it the first time, doing the mill and resurfacing of Lincoln Road north to, I believe it's River Road. We'll be submitting a second application for that. You've heard us talk about trying to improve the traffic flow around the Renaissance School, and we will be putting in a 2% application for the design and engineering work related to that. There's some right-of-way that we might be able to use just north of the school would take you east heading towards the Sportsplex and then around the back of Renaissance School. So we have a 2% application in for that work. And we also have gone to the Cultural and Recreation Commission to get approval to enter their land to do that work. That's been received. So that's a 2% application. There's a third application that's related to Jameson Park. You may, we've been trying to lift up and reactivate Jameson Park for a number of years now. We've improved the building, the hall. We've added playscapes to it. And in that same vein, we're looking to locate a what they call a studio version of the outdoor fitness facility that we have at McDonald Park, to locate that over at Jameson Hall. And that would do away with the baseball field that's no longer being used. And so by, and the outdoor fitness facility, that fits in with a lot of the ends that are reported or that are in our policy. It's equipment that older folks can use, teenagers, young adults, trying to create some opportunities for them. So we have a grant application into 2% to help fund that project. And related to that, I'm also happy to announce that this is a project that we did in partnership with the National Fitness Campaign and Priority Health. And we submitted an application for $60,000 for this project to that group. And so I'm able to announce tonight, because they informed us earlier this week, that we were awarded that grant.
Nice.
And so, we have $60,000 already available for that project. That grant, we'll need to accept that grant formally, and that'll be on your agenda at your October 22nd meeting. It'll, of course, be contingent on your final approval of the budget. But the entirety of the project, I'll call it the facility itself, the equipment, and then there is site prep work, and then there's the putting together the equipment, the installation of it. All told, that's approximately a $300,000 project, and so we're looking for money from the 2% grant program to help with that. We have $60,000 already, and then the remainder of the funding would be shared between the general fund and EDA. I don't know exactly yet what those bifurcations would be, but we'll have more on that at your October 22nd meeting. So I wanted to announce that during these management comments as well. And then lastly, Treasurer Rogers, you indicated you were going to the road commission meeting tomorrow. Maybe you could ask for an update on the right-of-way issue on Bud Street,
Okay,
where we're
certainly.
trying to put a sidewalk up from Pickard up to
Yep.
that park.
I certainly will.
And so that concludes my comments. Thank you.
One comment, our policy governance does indicate managers shall not submit 2% grant applications without prior board approval. So I kind of want to lift that up now. The manager just described 3. And if you're not clear on what they were, I'm happy to bring them up again, or you can ask questions. But any resistance to that? I'm not asking for formal motions,
Right.
but I would like it on the record that this board supports that, so that, because we have September 30th, I think,
That's the
deadline,
deadline,
correct?
yeah.
Any issues with those?
No.
I would full support.
Yeah, full support.
Okay, thank you for that. I will, if I can piggyback on this briefly, Trustee Lay and I and Manager Stuhldreher, when we were at the roundtables yesterday, had conversations about each of these potential applications. And there was wonderful reception for the CRC project, trying to get a road behind there for safety on Isabella. And I didn't have a conversation on all three, but the other one that I had a conversation on also was well received. And I want to say this publicly, but was the workout facility, for lack of a better term, similar to what we have at McDonald Park, only at Jameson, with some changes, I understand. But one of the individual tribal members indicated to me how excited she was, because I use that at McDonald Park all the time, and now it'll be closer to my house. And so it was nice to hear that. And the tribe usually lifts up specific topics they would like to have discussed at the round table. You don't have to stay within the framework, but these are the things they're interested in. And recreation was one of those. So, sorry to jump all over you on that. Thought it was worth pointing out the support that I heard yesterday with the tribe and what we were looking at. Anything else on that?
Just listening that the ball field is not overly utilized these days. That to me sounds like that leaves some considerable property there at the park for continued and thought and development potentials.
And that is ongoing.
Agree 100%. And it just, as I understand it, I think some of the struggles it has, because it's been largely maintained there, is that it's an isolated ball field, and that makes it not as attractive as what you see here or some of the other facilities that are in the community. We have multiple ball fields.
Well, diversity is an okay thing in parks.
Right.
Get some other activities.
Right.
That's where it's going.
Yeah, my point being, because it's underutilized, because I think that's largely because it's a single ballpark.
You can't do tournaments or anything like that.
Right. It'd be nice to use it in maybe some other ways. Thank you, Trustee Lannon. Moving on then, final board member comment. Clerk Cody. Trustee Brown?
I'm all set tonight, thank you.
Trustee Lannon?
I just mentioned going back to the manager's monthly report, looking at the finance and assessing area, and in particular the report from the Woodhill Group. I found that to be quite interesting to read what they reported to us and actions that appear to have been taken or are in the process of being taken to create some efficiencies. And so as well, kudos to some of the staff that pick up some of those responsibilities. And, continued development of job descriptions and work efforts by our staff. So just found it to be interesting reading.
Trustee Lay?
I've got nothing.
Just for clarification, Manager Stuhldreher, the cleanup is electronics only? What?
We'll have a station for shredded. Shredded will be out there, so if you want to get rid of some personal documents, they'll be shredded on site. There is also a station for electronics, TVs, batteries, computers, printers. There's also a station for big roll-off for steel, aluminum, those kind of things. Old water heaters, that kind of thing,
Yep.
washing machines. And then there's also a station where Granger's out there with their large compact, garbage trucks for mattresses and not garbage, but
So like furniture is okay?
furniture.
Okay.
Carpet.
You know,
Okay,
we've
perfect.
thrown
Okay.
couches in there,
Okay,
mattresses,
Piano.
Oh, my
piano.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
It was
That-
really cool.
Yeah, I was sickened by the
They, like,
piano.
crushed it.
Oh,
The
God.
only thing I'll add on the electronics is the way they always describe it to me is, working there, I've always gone, do you take this? No, anything with a cord is how they describe it to me.
Okay.
Old lamps,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Just one comment, two, I gotta make it two, they're tied together. You know, Wademan, has done some improvements on a park that they have right in town there. It was a single ball field, and it wasn't getting utilized, so they decided to do some other things. They ended up putting in, a tennis court and a pickleball court, and it was so well received, and a lot of it was provided by, volunteers, volunteering time to help construct it. They've put in, I'm gonna get the terminology wrong, but the way I viewed it was like a BMX track for bicycles. It's pretty slick looking. But how I learned, I mean, I knew some of it, but I didn't know about the biking path or track. But the group that was at the 2% round table wasn't there to ask for any new monies, but they wanted to thank the tribe. And they brought a lot of pictures of what they had constructed. And they had talked about past grants in their community and how they put up signs when they have road work done. This was monies contributed from the tribe that helped make this
Right.
come to reality. And it made me think, and maybe I haven't noticed, but we've been very fortunate to be granted a lot of help from the tribe over the years. And when we do road projects or other projects, it'd be nice to have acknowledgement of where those funds came from. Now granted, it's usually not just the tribe, they're a partner in it.
Right.
But I think they should be recognized for where they help us out.
Yes, absolutely. Same, yeah.
That concludes our business at 8:17 PM. We consider ourselves adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.